Hey guys, this is John here in Los Angeles with the Alpha Channel update for Friday, November 8th, 2024. And today we are doing Conflicted, deck number 1. This is the Seven of Hearts. And in this card, the government is at war with a bunch of different countries, and the country's being invaded at one of the borders. And they've called for all able-bodied men to bring their own weapons to the front and help defend the country. But if you leave your family, it's a time of massive unrest, and if you leave your wife and kids, there's no one to defend them. So what do you do? And we'll talk about that at the end. But right now, we're going to do Tarzan number 4. Tarzan Lord of the Jungle by Roy Thomas and John Buscema. Roy Thomas really does a magnificent job writing dialogue and narration. And I believe he wrote most of the Thor stuff. So I think he did Thor. I believe he did the run on Thor, Conan, and Tarzan. While Stanley and Jack Kirby did Captain America, Avengers, Fantastic Four. Roy Thomas is a better writer. Roy Thomas did white culture. They did weird fantasy, weird childhood power fantasies. Here, Tarzan is half amnesiac. He's been struck in the head with a falling rock, and now he's up in the court of law of Opar, who rules over a bunch of Morlocks who are like savages in this abandoned Atlantis town. And on the cover, you see him fighting a couple panthers, a black panther and a cheetah, a leopard and a black panther. They're both panthers. But here, he is still at the court of Opar, and she's asking. And what I love how direct he writes Tarzan's speech, and the way Tarzan phrases his dialogue, his vocabulary. It's very not European, and I can hear the music from the cartoon. I can hear the character actor from the cartoon. I recognize all the names, the Mangani, Tarmangani. Mangani is the language that they speak, the ape language. And so here Opar is demanding why Tarzan won't stay with her. And he explains that he doesn't desire her. And he walks out. He's beaten all her warriors who have run off. And he leaves, heading back out the way he came. Albert Werper follows him. Tarzan goes back down to the treasure vaults and piles up a bunch of gold into a pouch. And now, mysteriously, this stairwell, which was blocked with rocks before, is now passable, and Tarzan goes right up it out into the jungle. As you can see by the last panel, we are free and clear again. So the whole bit with Opar was unnecessary. But it gave us a chance for the stairwell to mysteriously clear itself. And then Tarzan walks into this clearing where a black panther and a leopard have killed an antelope. And that's where the Tarzan story ends. Excuse me for a second. So, picking up where we left off. Tarzan. Yes. Tarzan has walked into a clearing with a black panther and a leopard who are enjoying an elk carcass that they have just killed. And the Waziri are leaving the castle of Opar and heading back towards Tarzan's ranch, the Greystoke Ranch, as it's called. And at the Greystoke Ranch, Mugabe, who is Tarzan's close friend, Tarzan rescued him from somewhere else. He and Jane are talking about defending the ranch and basically just what's going on with Tarzan. It's a little bit of exposition. And as Ahmed Zek and his forces are approaching through the forest, Mugabe hears them and sets off the alarm. Tells everyone to get their spears. A couple pages of ads. So Mugabe marshals the defense of the Waziri who live at the Greystoke Ranch against Ahmed Zek and his rifle-armed Arabian warriors who've come down into sub-Saharan Africa seeking treasure. This was always the problem, wasn't it? They're always coming up the Nile and raiding the Sudanese. Couple pages of ads. Here's a Star Lord full page. That's a good ad for a comic book. That's a poster. If this was only printed on nicer paper, right? So here we get the more of the attack, and Jane Clayton is joining in the defense with a rifle, with a repeater. Can I hold this up close enough for you guys? Am I doing this justice? Because this really is magnificent. And this is simple. Look at how simple this is. There's no politics. There's no nonsense. It's just defense. Home defense. This could be a Western. This could be anywhere. It's set in Africa, but it could be set anywhere. This is a simple story. So Ahmed Zek and his raiders continue the attack until they whittle down the Waziri until they're all dead, except Jane. They drive them back into the house and then burst through the door, drag Jane out, and set the house on fire. This is some action. This is amazing work. And it doesn't, they don't even need any special effects for this. You don't even need any special effects for this. You just need someone with the courage to write a good story. It's simple. This is so easy. Here's a couple big ads. Look at this. The People That Time Forgot and Thor. This is the one that made me think Roy Thomas is writing Thor. Just the way the dialogue, just what Thor says is so in voice. He was the only one doing that at that time. I promise you. I'm going to look it up after this, and if I'm wrong tomorrow, I'll admit it. Terrible ads. 2 pages of terrible ads. This is what being stuck in the 70s was really like. Mugabe has been wounded but is not dead. I don't know how you get shot and are wounded but not dead. He crawls out of the fire into the grass. Meanwhile, Tarzan completely has amnesia and has challenged the 2 leopards for their kill, the black leopard, Black Panther, and the leopard. And we get this great poster shot where Tarzan tells them in his language that he'll kill them. Bugalo, I think is the word. 2 pages of Tarzan fighting a leopard and a panther. And he swings the panther by the tail. Talk about having a tiger by the tail. Literally. Another ad. I bet this is 17 pages. Because here we get Tarzan beats the leopard and the panther, and he kills them. Like here, this is the thing, okay? So this is the Tarzan of the books. The Tarzan of the books would kill, and there was a back in the last issue where Tarzan was eating an animal raw. Tarzan would kill an animal raw and eat it right there. And he would constantly have blood smeared all over his face and stuff and not think anything about it. Not feel the least bit guilty and not feel the least bit, not have feelings about it. Not be emotional about killing. And there was easy thing to strip away to make the cartoon. How do you strip that out of Conan? You can't strip that away from Conan. There would be a way to do it. There'd be a way to do Conan. You just have to put him in situations where he doesn't have to kill people. And in the fight, I don't know how you solve the fights. I don't know how you solve the big fights because he's constantly putting a sword through someone. And the way he solves most issues is throwing a sword. So, yeah. Conan the cartoon would be amazing. The same as Tarzan the cartoon would be amazing if people weren't afraid of blood. But people are. And I think that's a more natural fear. The world that I would create is a lot more chaotic than the one we're living in now. But this is the end of the episode, and this is Tarzan number 4. A couple more ads. Dino De Laurentiis Orca movie made Conan. So, Yeah. Conflicted. Do you leave your wife and children to go to war for your country who's starting wars with everyone and has now been invaded? Guess that's a question for you. What do you do? And it probably depends on your extended family, and it probably depends a lot on your wife and how old your kids are, but I know what my answer would be. Hell no. I went and fought for the military before wife and family. So, Legacy of Mad Scientist, Legend of Ashley Fox, amazing audiobooks, science fiction, fantasy here on YouTube for you guys to listen to. You're more than welcome to buy them from Amazon or download the ebooks free from Smashwords. And Ashley Fox Last Valkyrie and a PDF comic book for you guys here in the description. And what's going on? What do I need to talk about? Do I need to talk about the culture war? Or is there anything about comics and video games and entertainment I want to talk about? Something has been on my mind a lot, and I do want to talk about this just to sort of get it off my chest and verbalize my thoughts. The problem of diminishing returns in today's comic book market. So issue 1, because of FOMO, fear of missing out. I saw Todd McFarlane just did a video about this with someone. Someone interviewed him, and they were talking about the fear of missing out and how it does drive a lot of sales in the comic book industry. I've been calling this the speculator market, and it does. It drives a lot of sales. You wouldn't get Johnny the Homicidal Maniac 15th printing. It wouldn't matter that it's the 15th printing if there weren't a speculator market. And you wouldn't get a 15th printing anyhow. I mean, I don't think you get that with manga. There's no speculator market for manga, even floppy mangas, which I do want to do Blade of the Immortal at some point on this channel, at least the first 30 or so. But that's the problem of diminishing returns is a significant issue. And so being a new publisher, artist, writer, I mean, I'm not new, I've been writing for a long time, but I'm getting ready to publish my first comic, and it's going to take me a couple years. I want to do like 40 pages, and I've been thinking about this, and I want to do a number of stories. I want to do a few 6-pagers, a few 3-pagers, a few 2- and 1-pagers that will all feature different characters. Maybe a couple of them will feature the same character in 2 different stories. Maybe continuing stories, maybe not. Maybe that's the first issue and the second issue. But the first issue, I want it to be able to stand alone so that if you never get another one, it's fine. And the same thing with the second one, where the first one I want to establish a bunch of situations. In the second one, I want to exacerbate those situations, like raise the stakes from a standoff to a fight. And in the third one, sort of wrap them up. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. It's fun. I'm working on it. I was working on it today, drawing the cover for Modern Savages. And it's a process. A lot of it is, it's a new medium. It's not new. It's obviously the oldest medium. But I haven't tried to publish anything in it for money before. This is really pretty well done, but a lot of this is Jay's work, and I'm sure Jay will take over and do a lot of this story as well. I mean, the guy's incredibly gifted, and his art flows together, and he wants to do an epic, but I can't pay him to do an epic. So how do we do an epic and not pay each other? And how do we do an epic and embrace the law of diminishing returns, where if as nobodies we sell 500 copies of issue number 1, 200 copies of issue number 2, and 50 copies of issue number 3. And issue number 3 is where the story really takes off. How do we embrace that from the get-go? Do we finish all 6 issues up front? It's definitely something to think about. And I've been writing as a way to delay embracing that. But I think the worst thing would be to do a whole issue and not be sure where the story ends. Like that, drawing yourself into dead ends, drawing yourself into literary dead ends is a very painful thing. For Ethan, Cyberfrog, Ethan Van Sciver, to have had to do deleted scenes. For any artist to have to do deleted scenes, that hurts. It's easy to do deleted scenes as a paragraph of text. It's a lot harder to do that as 3 pages of art. especially if you have or have not paid the artist. Imagine if you're an artist, you get 3 pages approved, and then those pages get cut. And then you don't get paid. And I know some companies don't pay until the art ships. I mean, prints, publishes. Imagine that. Imagine you're working on a book, an ensemble book, and you turn pages in early and the book doesn't ship for 18 months and you don't get paid. That would suck. Or imagine your story gets cut and you don't get paid. I'm sure that happens. I know it happens in TV. So yeah, keep fighting the good fight. See you guys tomorrow.